5 useful tips to use in your lead guitar playing. Tip number 1 is the use of the major scale. So you can play it right here, 3-5-7, 3-5-7, 4-5. And what's cool how universal the scale is, you can play it at the 17th fret in the next octave, so you can play it right here. It gives you melodic possibilities. So say you're in the pentatonic scale. If you target that G note, like I did in that solo, you can kind of do stuff like this. Which I'm at G major pentatonic kind of right there, but you can still play like a major scale. So the whole concept of this is not to really show you exactly what I'm playing, but the concept of it so you can kind of take what you will from it and use it in your own playing. Tip number 2 is the use of the major and minor pentatonic scale. So if you do know this scale, target that G note like I said, so you don't always have to be playing 3 notes per string major. You can always use a combination of the 2 scales so it blends sounds. You can do things like this, so if you start at the root of the E, you already know that's going to give it a minor sound, so start it at the G root. Gives it much more of a major sound. Tip number 3, we're going to talk about things like articulation, so like slide. So say you're at the 14th fret of the G string, and you do a slide from the 14th fret to the 16th fret. Then you go to the B string 15th fret. So try that. Has such a really musical sound, so if you go from a slide up to it, then slide back. So you're already back at your G major sound. So since we're in G major, you can do things like pull-offs for articulation, or hammer-ons. You can do this. But I was doing something like this, which I just do a pick, pull-off, pull-off, which sounds really cool, so it's really useful to use in lead guitar solos. Tip number 4 is double stops. So if you're not familiar with double stops, they kind of sound like this. Which you're just sort of like holding down, you're barring, let's try right here, 12 and 12 on the D and G. But instead of hitting this, the 14th fret on the G, it sounds better, I think, just to do things like this. Sounds really cool. It's a thing that like blues players do, like Jimi Hendrix and just a lot of rock guys. It's a really cool thing to do in your solos and stuff. I use it quite a bit, so experiment with that, and especially when you kind of add that G note in there, you get that cool sound. Tip number 5 is string bending and vibrato. It's probably the most important thing in lead guitar, so let's try a bend at the 15th fret B string. Now give it vibrato. So bending and vibrato is not the same thing. A string bend is you're there, but once you're there, you want to give it a little bit of a wiggle. So a lot of guitar players miss this, and I think it's pretty important. Also, the way you release the bend has a huge impact on the sound. So you can go straight to it, or you can go like this, or you could go like this. Things like that. David Gilmour does things like that a lot. Also, the kind of strings you use have a huge impact on that. So if you're using 10 gauge strings, you may want to just start off with like a half step bend. We were just at a full step bend, so try this. You're basically bending a half step of a note. So you're bending from F sharp to G. So this is F sharp, this is G. So that's how you know you're in pitch, and that's really, really important. Here's a quick recap of today's lesson. The use of the major scale for melodic possibilities. The use of the major and minor pentatonic for a different sound, basically. Number 3, articulation, so things like slides, hammer-ons and pull-offs, picking and whatnot, so it has a huge impact on your sound. Tip number 4, double stops. You'll sound like Jimi Hendrix and lots of great players if you use it right. Last but not least, string bending and vibrato. Probably the most important thing to lead guitar playing, so really just focus on that. Really hope you enjoyed these 5 tips. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!